Minutes past the hour of 8.
My name is Oliver Tate. I suppose it's a bit of an affectation, but sometimes I wish there was a film crew following my every move. I don't quite know what I am yet. I've tried flipping coins, listening exclusively to French crooners. I've even had a brief ad phase, but nothing stuck. My parents have not had sex for 7 months. I've been monitoring their intimacy via the dimmer switch in their bedroom. Jordana Bevan's moderately unpopular, which makes a romance between the two of us more likely.
Meet me under the bridge after school and we'll take you from there. Now kneel down. Close your eyes.
It's the film review. Submarine is the first one we're looking at with Lena Lamont this morning. Good morning to you, Lena.
Good morning, Wamo.
Submarine.
Yeah.
That's a cute wee film.
Yeah, it came out in the New Zealand International Film Festival, which just finished. I mean, you remember that we were going to see stuff back in July, and now the film festival's been traversing the country. It just finished, I think, in Kerry the other night.
Really?
Yeah, for real.
Like it's been walking around New Zealand.
I know, yeah, that's right. Or hitching, maybe, and nobody picks up hitchhikers anymore. But so Submarine was in that, and beautiful, beautiful little indie British comedy. It's actually kind of Welsh.
But it's got by the Ben Stiller Company.
Yeah, well, I suppose I guess even independent movies need a bit of backing nowadays. So it's not it's Ben Stiller obviously producing it along with the Weinstein Company, and Bob and Harvey Weinstein were Miramax.
Right.
And I think the Weinstein Company is their indie film arm of Miramax.
Huh.
I think I'm right in saying that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, so it has the backing of Ben Stiller. But quite frankly, this film is so gorgeous, it didn't really need the backing of any name you've ever heard before. So you've got this unknown new actor called Craig Roberts, which is not a movie star's name, and he's kind of Welsh, which is not a movie star's kind of country, I suppose, unless you're Catherine Zeta-Jones, with greatest respect to Welsh actors. And he plays Oliver Tate, as he says in the voiceover. And do you know what? I think I read or heard somewhere years ago that actually it isn't clever to start films with voiceovers, that nowadays when young people are being taught how to write scripts, you shouldn't just go with the whole voiceover thing. But when I think back, some of the best films, I mean, Goodfellas and films like that I will love forever, are propelled by voiceover. And this film is beautiful because of it. So you've got Oliver's little teenage voice letting us into the psyche of an ordinary teenage boy, not a cool guy, not a total nerd. He's kind of middle of the road. And as he says, as we heard in the trailer, he fancies Jordana, who's a little bit rebellious. And because she's kind of a little bit unpopular too, it makes it, statistically more likely that they'll wind up together. So he's pursuing this woman. He has all the affectations of listening to French singers and writing poetry and wearing a duffel coat and being kind of a little bit indie himself, And his whole everything about his life is framed as if somebody were making a film of him, which is a beautiful sort of breaking down of the fourth wall kind of meta reference, because of course we are making a film of him and his little life.
Yeah. It's set in the now?
No, it's set in the 80s. The soundtrack's fantastic. It's set in the 80s, which gives it even more of a charm. Particularly for those of us who might have been in the 80s and might be able to remember that's how tortured love was in those days.
And it's always cold.
Well, it is cold,
rainy.
but that's because he's in Wales.
Yeah.
And they're on by the sea as well. So yeah, kind of similar to maybe a cold sort of New Zealand or Auckland upbringing. So fantastic.
That's our impressions of the 80s in the UK, though, right? It's always cold.
Oh yeah,
and grim
and pebbly beaches, and that sort of thing. And duffel coats are imperative. That's exactly right. So this fantastic cast, supporting cast, includes Sally Hawkins and Noah Taylor, who's a fantastic Australian actor who we will have seen in 1,000,001 things going back to Bangkok Hilton. Don't know if you ever saw Bangkok Hilton back in the day when Nicole Kidman was a drug dealer and got locked up in a Thai prison.
Oh yeah.
But he's great, and he and Sally Hawkins are Oliver Tate's parents, as it says in the trailer, the ones who haven't been intimate for 7 months, and Oliver's very concerned that his parents' marriage has to endure.
And it gives it away in the trailer, but I couldn't quite get it. He uses the light switch.
Yeah, the dimmer switch. So what he'll do in the morning is he'll check He'll put he'll flick the parents' bedroom light on, and if the lights have been left on dimmer, he'll know that there's been some intimacy. Whereas if it's been left bright, he knows that they basically went to bed, switched the light off from daytime, and went to sleep. So he does routine searches of his parents' bedroom, and as I say, is very concerned about their romance. And then the mother's ex-boyfriend from years ago, played by a hilarious Paddy Considine, who's now this kind of psychic, kind of psychedelic kind of guy who's incredibly smooth and has spiky gelled hair, moves in next door. So Oliver's like, oh my gosh, you know, my parents' marriage is disintegrating before my eyes. Meanwhile, he's got to formulate his own relationship. It's wonderful. It's charming. It's incredibly witty. And the reason it's witty, some might say, is because it's made by Richard Ayoade, I'm going to say. He's the guy who made the IT Crowd. The sitcom, It Crowd, IT Crowd. And he'd made a whole lot of music videos. You know, he's one of these kind of British filmmaker dudes who's done a whole lot of stuff and is effortlessly cool. Yeah. So he's the voice, the true voice behind this film. So Submarine's beautiful.
Great. Submarine, go see that. It'd be, what, Rialto, places like
that? Capital, Rialto, that sort of thing, yeah.
Okay, excellent.
There's 3 things I've learned in this life. 1, things are never as simple as they seem. 2, everybody lies.
You'll be all right, little mate.
And 3, always expect the unexpected.
Are you sure this is the right place for you, Dad?
Absolutely.
Fresh fish, still.
This is my mission.
And then out of nowhere, this hand grabbed me, and I looked up, and there was an angel staring down at me.
Well done, Lillian.
No, it wasn't her. It's my first wife.
Please don't tell anyone.
It's one of those movies where you look at all the characters and you say, oh, I recognise you, I recognise you, I recognise you.
Half of Shortland Street, really.
Basically. Rest for the wicked.
Yeah. Lovely little Kiwi comedy. I would like to say probably the first Kiwi rest home crime caper. So basically, as you see from the trailer, you've got everybody who's anybody. Ken Blackburn, Ilona Rogers, Tony Barry is our protagonist. He plays a cop who has for years and years and years suspected that another character called Frank, who's played in this by John Batch, who everybody will have seen a million times in every film they've ever seen, that years ago Frank was involved in some sort of criminal activity that he was not collared for. So Tony Barry, the cop, has never let this go. So he decides to infiltrate the rest home where Frank is living so that he can get close to him and try and close this, what could really be called a cold case. So he masquerades, I suppose, as an occupant for this rest home and goes about his business in typical sort of cop form, interviewing potential witnesses and trying to get to the bottom of things. And meanwhile, people start dying. So he thinks that there must be a serial killer at work, notwithstanding, of course, it's a rest home. And it might not be that unexpected that some people might occasionally pass away. Yeah. So, absolute delight in seeing these old faces that we haven't seen for years.
It's got that sort of classic British, it's sort of that kind of British caper type film.
Yeah, feel to it. Yeah, that's true. And it does actually feel of an age. And I think also seeing a lot of these older faces in it to me reminded me of. You remember Gliding On?
It's like Saving Grace, films like that.
Right,
it's
that's
got that
true.
kind of feel to it.
That's true, it does, because it does have that gentle suburban kind of...
Where this could get quite meta as well, where it is about a rest home, but you could imagine the rest home getting the bus and putting them all on to go see this at the movies.
Well, that's exactly true.
At the matinee session.
That's quite true. Now, Simon Patterson, who's the writer and director of this film, he actually said that he felt that New Zealand isn't making enough films to use our I hate to call them our older actors, but I mean that's the reality, I suppose.
Seasoned.
Our seasoned actors, and so so he specifically made this film for this fantastic cast that we've got. So one of the many delights is going to the movie. I mean, you have lots of laughs, but one of the many delights is seeing these people and thinking, oh, good Lord, there's so-and-so from Shortland Street, and there's such and such from this.
Ian Mune, Elizabeth McRae, Tessa Woodham.
Everybody who's anybody.
This will be very popular with the older set.
It will be popular with the older set, but I think that it's a film for everybody, Whammer.
Yeah?
I really do.
Okay.
I think that I think what's interesting is it doesn't shy away from being a little bit gritty, actually, right from the opening moments. So So, yeah, I think it will definitely appeal to the octogenarian set, particularly those who see a conspiracy around every corner, which I know that my father does. So I think he would identify a lot with this sort of this older person's mentality of, oh, well, they're probably doing I don't know what down there, and someone needs to go and have a look, you know, which is what motivates the whole film. That's what drives it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Rest for the Wicked. Where can we see that one, do you think?
I'm not entirely sure what sort of distribution that's going to get, but I would certainly say your Lidos, your possibly your Capital, Rialto chain, that sort of thing.
Okay, cool. That should be out really soon. Lena Lamont, your reviews, of course, in the Sunday Star Times, and also lenalamont.wordpress.com. See you next week.
Thank you.
Look, people are dying and no one seems to give a bugger.
There is nothing illegal going on, nothing sinister.
Nobody listens to you when you get old.
I know everything that goes on in this place.